Well, Boba Fett's right to be excited because look what's arrived. However, before jumping straight into the deadlifts, I think it's really important to warm up the core, the hamstrings and the glutes with some single leg Romanian deadlifts. Actually, they felt okay. Added an extra 1 1/4 on each side. So this is now a 10 kilogram dumbbell. So a little bit of progress there. That's 3 sets of 10. Now onto the deadlift, which we're going to pair with the incline press up. Now obviously during the lockdown, I haven't been to the gym for about 12 to 14 weeks. In all honesty, I have lost track of time a little bit, I guess like many people. So I'm not sure of the exact time frame that I've gone without lifting any heavy weights. So this is going to be the first heavy weight that I've lifted. Certainly it's heavy for me. However, it's quite a lot lighter obviously than I was lifting 12 to 14 weeks ago. And that's important because obviously I've been very much focused on the body weight moves. And like many people, as we go back to the gym, we need to get control of the ego and go back with weights that are probably a little lighter, quite a lot lighter in all honesty, than we were previously lifting in order to avoid picking up a quick injury immediately when we go back to the gym. So on the bar here, I think the bar is about 30 kilograms. I've got a 20 kilogram plate on each side. Additionally, I'm coming back from injury. My flexibility is a little bit impaired at the moment, and therefore I've got the bar with the handles facing upwards in order to reduce the range of motion and make the lift a little bit easier, because I don't have to get down quite so low, and therefore the flexibility doesn't need to be quite so high in order to execute the lift with nice form, a nice straight back, upright chest, knees out over the toes. So that's exactly what I'm going to try and do right now. Right. So standing in the middle of the bar, toes pointing outwards slightly, knees going to be slightly out over the toes, shoulders retracted, chest up, deep breath in through the core. I'm going to grab the handles right in the middle here, and I'm going to get myself down and into position. Rock forwards onto the toes, look out the back, get the chest up, knees out over the toes, and extend through the hips. And remember, I've got people beneath me, therefore I've got to lower the weight slowly. Deliberately stopping well short of failure, looking to maintain a nice, powerful movement, because power is what I'm most focused on in terms of the cycling, and stop the reps when the speed of the bar upwards slows. Well, today's an all body workout, and the trap bar deadlift is going to be targeting the glutes, the hamstrings, the quads, the core and the back. And then upstairs, the raised off the ground press ups with a deep range of motion are going to be targeting the chest and the triceps. Looking for 4 sets of 6 to 8 powerful reps on the trap bar deadlift, and I guess north of 12 reps on the press up. Here we go. So bar speed's starting to slow a little bit on the 7th there. You can see, found that hard work. Now time for the raised off the ground press ups. And by raising the press up off the ground and having a big gap to fall into, that increases the range of motion, makes the movement harder, and therefore creates more damage to the muscle tissue, and hopefully helps build strength with fewer reps. And then back down to the deadlift, probably about 2 minutes rest between that. And you can see having a pause at the bottom of the press up again makes it harder. It means you have to explode upwards and therefore engage the mind muscle connection, and therefore again it ensures that you're targeting the muscles you want to work, plus the explosive movement again is complementary to the power work we're looking to develop on the bike. Well, I've been finding this quite tough. It's quite taxing on the nervous system, lifting heavier weights for the first time. So rather than doing the 4 sets, I'm just going to do the 3 and hopefully have a third good quality set. And then I'm going to get on the bike and do some high cadence work. And next time I do this, I can add the 4th set for a little bit of progression without increasing the weight. And as you can imagine, Jane is loving having this trap bar clattering up the flat. Yeah, they were all right, I think. And now, onto the watt bike. $31.49. So for the last half hour or so, I've been undertaking a training prescribed by time trialist extraordinaire, holder of the 1 hour world record, Mr. Victor Campenaerts. And Victor prescribes a really good recovery day that also builds neuromuscular connections that help during a time trial or a race. And I'll explain why in a second. So, just about to step up from 110 RPM for the last 3 minutes to 120 RPM for the next 3 to 5 minutes. Just going to drop the gear now, 32.28. Let's get the RPM nice. You can see, having to concentrate to get the RPM up. And Victor says, when you're doing this, try and focus on a nice pedaling technique, i.e. circular motion, pushing down and pulling back on the pedals, because that's what develops the neuromuscular connection. And the fact that it's high cadence and low watts, very importantly low watts, means that you're not stressing the body and creating fatigue. Indeed, you're getting blood into the leg muscles and hoping to aid the process of recovery while developing a neuromuscular connection that will enable you to develop the ability to pedal at a much higher cadence at a higher power, and therefore be more efficient in terms of energy expenditure versus power versus fatigue in a time trial or race. And you can see here at 33, 35 that my pedaling technique is not at all perfect here. I'm struggling to maintain the tension on the chain. It feels like I'm pedaling in nice circles, but when you look at the Watt Bike Hub data and the sausage in the middle of the screen here, you can see while the power distribution is even at 50-50, I'm not creating a nice green circle. It's kind of red, sometimes it's figure of 8 shaped, but mostly it's like a peanut, a red peanut. So much more to improve here in terms of the neuromuscular connection. And as an aside, I've got to say, I really enjoyed that strength training just now. It's amazing the difference having a new toy by way of the TRAP bar makes. Just changing things up a little bit, whether it's strength training or cardiovascular. Obviously Ed keeps the training plan very, very different from day to day, very engaging. Makes a big difference, makes it much more enjoyable, makes you want to come back for more. So really glad that I invested in the plates to go on the TRAP bar. You can see here, at 35 minutes now, the power's been below 200, which is good. It's kind of low zone 2, maybe upper zone 1. It feels nice, but still a lot to do in terms of the pedaling technique itself. Anyway, I'll keep doing a few more bursts of this for 3 minutes at 120, maybe a minute and a half at 110 in terms of the RPM, and then it's on to work. And a fuel for tomorrow's training, vegetable stir fry in black bean sauce. We've just gone 5:30 AM, and yes, I am out on a bike for the second time in 3 days. People are going to think there's some kind of malfunction on my Strava account. London looking magnificent. Anyway, I'm off for another crack at the inner circle of Regent's Park for a sweet spot training, courtesy of Ed. And it's meant to have a little variation with a really big surge at the beginning of a series of 10-minute blocks. Piccadilly Circus, and then on to Regent Street. Beautiful architecture. I've got a route going along here from my house to Regent's Park that's predominantly cycle lanes, and that's an increasing feature in London. Obviously something that I very much welcome. Just coming to the outskirts of Regent's Park now. It's like a scene from Mary Poppins. So here we are at London's Velodrome Gratis for the sweet spot training at the inner circle of Regent's Park. So having both dropped the GoPro and completed the progressive warm-up, it's now time to complete the sweet spot training, which comprises 4 blocks of 10 minutes at 260 to 270 watts, i.e. 85 to 90% of FTP. But at the beginning of each block for 1 minute, I'm at 350 to 375 watts, i.e. 120 to 125% of FTP. Well, it's 7 AM and I've just completed the sweet spot training. And I've got to say, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Repetitive though it is. Look at that for a peloton. Repetitive though it is, going around and around the same circuit, I was able to very much focus on pedaling technique, breathing, staying seated, but also I was on the hoods throughout, trying to improve my aerodynamics. And Ed, happily I reckon I've delivered the goods for you. Certainly on the first block and the third block, for the first minute, I was in that required power range of 125% or more of FTP, i.e. 360 to 400 watts. I think I fell a tad short on the second and fourth block, but no matter. Because for each of the subsequent 9 minutes, I was definitely in the power range, i.e. 260 to 300 watts, probably averaging 275 to 280 watts overall for each of those 9 minutes versus the 270 that Ed had prescribed. So all in all, quality. And also I did check the Training Peaks program after the training, and actually I was only meant to complete 3 blocks of 10 minutes rather than the 4 that I completed, and also I was meant to have 5 minutes of recovery between each of the blocks of 10 minutes rather than the 2 minutes that I actually took. So all in all, a nice little session to get under the belt. As ever, I undertook this training fasted with just the amino acids, cold coffee and plenty of water. So it's now time to head home for a little bit of post-ride nutrition. Well, I knew Regent's Park was a thing, but it's like being at a crit.